Well, Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
It's about time.
Yep.
Dude, we
Absolutely.
connected a long time ago, and then you reconnected with one of my guys.
Yeah.
Did he come to one of your open houses?
Idris reached out to me.
Yeah.
It was funny because he registered as a homes.com lead.
Oh.
So he definitely caught my attention.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. He is in the market.
Nice.
Yeah, we pre-qualified him. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So before we get into the real estate, because I know you do a lot of stuff. We're gonna get today and
Yeah.
extract out from how you run your plays.
Mm-hmm.
But before you went to Colorado,
Yeah.
right? Are you born and raised there?
Born and raised in Colorado. I went to
Okay.
Colorado State. Graduated 4-year degree, which
Business?
communications and business.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then decided to get into real estate, or did you do something else?
Yeah, so I moved out here in 2017, like right when I graduated. And when I first moved out here, I had, it's funny because I wrote a whole list of like 30 things that I could see myself doing.
Okay.
And I couldn't even tell you for real estate. I think real estate was in there at some form, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
What's some of the ones you remember from the list?
One thing I really looked at closely doing is being like a sports agent. Like
Oh.
negotiating deals for like athletes.
Yeah.
But it was like so political that like it really didn't. And then I looked at being like a sportscaster because I love sports,
Okay.
But then I looked at like the higher earning potential jobs, and it was that kind of really slimmed things down. So honestly, I think I like started working at like a restaurant. I was just looking to like kind of stay above water when I first got out here and
Yeah.
just, enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And, after,
Like every early 20s
like
Scottsdale.
yeah, exactly. And after I, kind of had that stage of my life that came and passed, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to get ahead in life? And so then I started kind of doing sales jobs. I sold cars. I sold solar. Car sales is really where I found my niche for sales, I'd say. And I think I really like appreciated like the work ethic from car sales really brought me with appreciation for like growth in sales and like having like a limitless potential. And like
Was there a lot of training? I know there's some car places have a lot of training, some don't.
there was very minimal training.
So it was your own sales acumen, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you went in, you met people and, they let you off on the line. They tell you, here's the database, you call people. And I didn't know a thing about cars. I mean, I'm not a car guy. So I was strictly selling cars from just being in the office. I was the first one in. I was the last one to leave. I would look at the leaderboard. I'd always be making the most calls. And, my first month I sold like 15, 18, whatever it was, cars. And I was like my first like couple months in the car business, like I was up there with like the people that have been doing it like 25, 30 years. And I was like, I'm catching on to something. But I hated selling cars. Like I hated it because I hated sitting in front of someone, acting like I was their best friend, acting like I was working for them. But in reality, I wasn't working for them, And I think that's what really drew me to real estate, where it was like, okay, like I get to sit in front of someone and I get to represent their best interest. And like every single hour that I put in goes toward their best interest. And I think I just genuinely like fell in love with that,
That's a good
in
point.
terms of real estate. So,
Yeah. Now, did you flip right from cars to real estate?
So I only sold cars for like 3-4 months. And then after I sold cars, it burned me out so much because in real estate, I love what I do. So like
It fuels
me like every day. I'm like working toward what I've always dreamed, my goals and everything. And I feel like I'm really like each and every weekend that I spend sacrificing doing open houses or whatever, I feel like I'm getting one step closer to that ultimate like goal/dream life, where it was like selling cars. I was like almost like I burned out quick because I didn't truly love what I did.
Yeah.
So like after I finished selling cars, I remember like how much, like I remember like to this day, I was like walking in the lot. It was like 115 degrees. My sales manager was like a prick to me, and he was like, yeah, like said something like super like rude or disrespectful, and I just like walked out. Like I was like, and I didn't think twice about it, and it felt so good to like walk out of that situation because it's just the norm, like how how that business
It's like a
goes.
revolving door.
Yeah, for the most part. Then the next day I like took like a whole week to myself and like didn't have to wake up, and I just like relaxed. And then like after that I just like started driving Lyft. and I just did it whenever I wanted. And, you know, obviously I wasn't making a lot of money, but like I like,
Freedom.
yeah, it was freedom, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that. And like, you know, having people in my car and talking to them, and like getting to know different people was like really cool when I was like in my like mid to early 20s. And then I came across someone where I picked up and they did real estate in a Lyft drive. And they were telling me, they were like, yeah, I've been crushing it. Like I have these deals and they're like $30,000, $40,000 commissions. And like, you know, like all you do is just connect with people and then like find them a home. And I was like, I like the sound of that.
Beats
I was
finding
like,
a car.
yeah, exactly. So I like loved, you know, kind of like the sound of it and whatnot. And like after that, I really like looked into it. And then, you know, my family like owns real estate, and like my dad like ran car dealerships, and like he just like had a strong sales background. And he was like, I've been telling you to get your real estate license, like, cause it's like, you know, in one ear out the other.
Now
Like
they're in like they own real estate, or have their license and they do real estate.
so they own real estate.
Okay.
No one in my family was like an actual realtor, so I guess
Okay.
I
But
would
you
be
know enough about the game of real estate.
yeah, from like
Yeah.
just buying and selling, and like kind of knew how it worked and everything. So he's like, you'd be a
That's
great.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. So
Do you remember the guy from the Lyft?
I could not even tell you his name.
Gosh.
I wouldn't recognize him if I saw him.
Because you think like that one, and not that it wouldn't have happened another chance
Yeah.
encounter, but that one chance encounter was like, I'm going to look into this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And not like, you know, your dad had been saying stuff anyway, but you're just like, clicks, like, oh, well, I'm
Yeah.
going to look at whatever he said was drew it in, right? To
Exactly.
go, I'm going to go look at that. And then here we are.
Yep.
Now, how long ago was that?
I've been in real estate for like 6 years, so it
That's
probably was like
phenomenal.
7 years ago.
Wow.
And it's cool because whenever I get in a Lyft car, I always think back and I think like I have to give them a little nugget of real estate. Because if I can impact someone's life the way that someone else impacted my life, then that would bring nothing but happiness to my heart.
I like that.
Yep.
That's really cool, man. Nice. Okay, so when you went to school and got licensed, where did you go first? How did you get? Was your entrance in? Because we have a lot of newer agents that listen to
Yeah.
this too, and I
Yeah.
always like to give them some advice of like the start, because the start can be harder
Yeah.
or it can be a little bit easier depending
Mm-hmm.
on a couple things. But I want to hear what you did first.
Yeah. So everyone knows my story with my real estate test at this point. I couldn't pass it for the life of me. I went on Ari's podcast, and, you know, that's the highlight of, you know, one of the episodes or whatever. One of the
How many times?
19 times I failed.
Wow. Wow. And I did not know that.
Yeah. So
Is there a time frame? Like, so in the LO license, you have to wait 30 days in between tests. And then if you miss it on the third time, you got to wait 6 months.
yeah, I'd never.
So
get
that
my
can't be a rule
yeah.
there, because you
Doesn't-
still
yeah.
wouldn't be licensed right now.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't. Yeah, I really wouldn't. I'd still be driving Lyft. Yeah, so we could take it like twice a week. So, you know, I took it the max every week and went in, and it was cool because I did better every time. Like I was like 50, 52, 54, 55, 57. And I was like, every single time I
You're
get
moving
like
up.
1 or 2% better. And I was like, like that was the only thing that kept me going, was like doing better
You
every
weren't
time.
going backwards.
Exactly. Like if I started at like 73 and then it was like all over the place, like I would have been like just losing my mind. I mean, I was losing my mind anyway. But I think that is like the epitome of the real estate business, that story. Because if you were to give up in the business after you held 100 open houses and didn't get a lead, or didn't get, I mean, if you're doing 100 open houses, you didn't get one lead, you probably should
That's a big problem.
yeah, you should be like studying like what you're saying and doing. But like what I mean is like if you're really working your butt off day in, day out, doing all the right things, and you haven't had that big check or had that deal, it's very normal. It's very normal. And I think that like really seasoned me for like the nature of the beast, right? Which is the business. I mean, it's
Would you say delayed gratification is kind of a trait that you need to have or work on?
you do. And I think you need to have a strong self-belief and just faith, and like what me and Ari like to say is delusional confidence. And just like, I mean, obviously that kid, you know, he has about as much confidence as anyone. And that's where we really are similar, because that's how I was when I first got in the business. And I felt like I could conquer anything. And I think that is the mindset you have to have when you get into this business that you really are the best agent for the job. You're going to go toe to toe. People have been doing it 20, 25, 30 plus years. But to have that confidence and know that you have the work on your side, you have the time on your side, and you're not going to stop until you get the result that they have in mind. And know that, like, a lot of these agents that have been doing it a long time, some of them, that's all they have is their experience, because they're not willing to put in the extra hours and the work and do what it takes to get their client the result that they need. So I know it's a selling point as a consumer to hear that someone's been doing it so long. But I mean, if I keep doing what I'm doing for the next 15 years, my brain is going to be spaghetti. So I mean, but a lot of experience comes with that, and it's nothing but respect for all the agents that have been doing it 20, 25, 30 plus years. But I think the mindset that I had was like, I can have whatever I'd want in life if I work for it. And although I've had ups and downs and everything in between, I'd say that it's gone really well. And if you told me, 6 years ago that I'd be where I'm at now, it would be a blessing, and I'd be really excited.
Nice, man. Nice. So when you got into the business, did you go solo on your own? Did you join a team? How did you get in?
So when I first got in the business, I joined a small team in Gilbert, and that didn't last very long because it just wasn't really a good fit for like my goals.
What made you pick that team?
It was just one of the teams that were in the office that I first joined in.
Okay.
I worked in Realty One, Gilbert office, and I like joined a team like right away. I think I might have like looked into being solo, but like none of it made sense because I didn't have like a database or leads or anything. And I was just like, I think I went like 3 weeks to a month with like just trying to figure everything out. Like, I mean, I had no idea like what was going on.
So
I was
car
like,
business, you were given lists and people that inquired and all this stuff, and now you're sitting here like, all right, well, now how do I like? So I make this point about loan officer school and real estate, like they just don't tell you how to sell. Like here's the street smarts, here's how to go get a lead, here's how to talk to them, here's what to say, here's how to hold an open house. Like, yeah. Okay, so you jumped on that team.
Yeah, so I jumped on that team, and I was with them for like 2 or 3 months. I probably did like 3 or 4 deals in my first like couple months when I was with them, because I just, from the second I got in the business, I was like, I'm leaving nothing on the floor. Like every single week that I finish up, I'm gonna look at the maybe not look at the scoreboard, but I'm gonna look deep in the mirror, and I'm gonna say you gave it 110% every single week, no matter what. And it really paid off. Like I know a lot of agents, like it's not abnormal to go 3, 6, 12 months without a deal. I was fortunate to have deals like right away. But they were like, it was like, I think 270,000 was my first deal in Gilbert in like 2019. And then they were like, 270,000 and 300 and 350, 400. They were smaller deals, right? And I would always tell my team leader at the time, I was like, I'm gonna sell multi-million-dollar homes. Like I'm going to. Like that's I didn't come here to, just sell $300,000-$400,000 homes. Like I'm gonna be a luxury real estate agent. And he would laugh at me. And he would say, do you realize these are the people that are gonna sue you? These are the people that, it just like there wasn't a positive response. And, I think his highest sale was like in the 700,000s. And I get it. You see a kid come in and, they're in their mid-20s and they're like, I'm going to sell $1 million homes. And you're like, no, you're not.
But even that, it was more a reflection on him. Like his mindset was that's how it's going to be. So he had a cap, a lid on his business.
Exactly.
And he just, good for you, because he projected that on you. And you're like, that's not going to be me.
Yeah, I just think it was like I've always gone against the grain ever since I was younger. Like I've always kind of been told, like I was the shortest player on varsity when I played in high school, and I'd be, like guarding like someone's 6'5", and I'd be face guarding them full court press all game. And I always had to do the little things ever since I was like younger. And I've always like, I've never really like wanted to listen to people unless they were where I wanted to be. And, that's what really stood out to me about my next team, because I've been with them, as you know, Mojo, Morgan, Josh. I've been with them for over 5 years now. And those guys, like when they talk, I listen. When like they walk in the room, they command excellence. And it's just something that I had to be around if I was going to hit that next level. Because I know that like I couldn't hit that next level from my first team leader because he didn't have the optimism. He wasn't there. And Morgan and Josh were.
So did you see, them around and then say, oh, hey, I think I'd need to be over on that team?
Well,
or how did that transition look?
Yeah, so I actually went off on my own for a little bit.
Okay.
So I went off on my own in the beginning. I kind of just, I wouldn't say I was like on my own because I was still like kind of figuring out what the hell is going on. And then I went on that team, and then I went off that, like I left that team, and then I was on my own, and I was kind of trying to figure it out, and then I was like, well, I need to start holding open houses. So then I called, and it had to be one of the first people I called was Josh. And I was like, hey, it was like a $2.5 million listing. I was like, oh yeah, I want to hold that open, And I called Josh. I remember to this day, it was on Sunnyside. It was like a white house with like a circular driveway. And, nowadays it's probably like 4 million because at the time, prices were like half. And to me, like $1 million homes were like luxury. And that was what it, like in 2019, they were,
Yeah.
And I mean, they still, arguably are luxury.
2.5 still is nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I called Josh and I was like, I want to hold your open house. He's like, well, we only reserve it for our team members. Like, have you ever looked into joining a team? And I was like, oh, dude, I just had the worst experience. Like, I just got off a team. And he's like, well, we usually don't take new team members, but I'd be open to meeting with you for like 15, 20 minutes. And I don't know what it was that made me sit down with him or him sit down with me. Because if he didn't take new team members and I was just so done with teams after my last team, there was something magical about that conversation that brought us together. And
what do you think? It's kind of your competitiveness that when someone says, hey, I'm really not looking, and you're like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Well,
and it wasn't like he shut down the conversation. Like he's like, sorry, I don't take new team members. You got to be on a team to hold an open house. Click. Like he was like really like welcoming and nice. Mm-hmm. And he was like, we usually don't take new team members, but I don't know if he caught something that I couldn't even explain through the phone or what it was. But, we sat down. I met with Morgan and Josh. I told him about my goals and, what I planned to accomplish and kind of what I was committed to doing work-wise. And, they're like, we're going to bring you on. We're going to give you a chance.
So rather than laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
They supported you.
Exactly.
Awesome.
And I just had a hell of a first year. I think I closed like $8 million in sales. But in 2019, the prices were half of what they are now. So, I mean, 8 million in sales in 2019 was solid.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And at the end of the year, I closed just a life-changing deal. It was 2.3 million, and that's where the spark met the dynamite. Where it was like after I sold that house, I was like, this is it.
It's like breaking the 4-minute mile.
Oh, exactly.
I can do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And like when I closed that deal, that right then sparked just
that's awesome.
The confidence, the mindset. I was like, I can do this. Like, and then all I went after that mostly was just luxury. And it's not that I don't sell 2, 3, 4, 5 plus $100,000 homes. I love doing that. I love helping people, but I don't like pursue it like as aggressively as I do like, 1 plus.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of just really like sparked. That was the moment of my career where everything changed.
Now I see you doing a ton of open houses. I think you said you do like 5 a week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's a lot. But I'm looking forward to hearing your plan. But was that you started that? Said, hey, I'm going to attack luxury and I'm going to do 5 like now? Or did you ramp up into that? Or were you assigned that? How did that even come about?
So the way that I could put it is that when I first got in the business, if you told me that you only held 5 open houses that week, you were lazy. Like I was lazy to myself because I set such high like expectations and like pushed myself so much that I was like 5 open houses in a week. Like that's it. Like I would hold 30 open houses without taking 1 day off. And I would sit in a house, 3.5, 4 million in PV, and I would not get anything out of those 30 days. And then the 31st day I was there with a smile on my face. And that was the difference maker. Was like, I felt like there was no, I just never felt like I was really like running out of gas when I was in the middle of the marathon. But I will say that like at the end of the year, I would have like really, really bad migraines, and like it would kind of all catch up to me. And my first year, I just left it all on the line, and like I had really bad migraines for like 2 months straight. Wow. And I think it completely set me back in my second year. Although, you know, the second year was, I would say every year in real estate for me has really been great. Like I don't look back and say that year was just not a good year, because like I just leave it all on the line every year and let the results take care of themselves. And even like if there was a year that I've struggled the most, I'd probably say it's this year, just because I've just had a lot of things where, you know, it just didn't work out. You know, one thing could have went one way and it just didn't. And it seems like there's years that everything seems to work out, and there's years that nothing seems to work out. But if nothing seems to work out, then there has to be a time where like the momentum shifts. And right. If you're really busting your ass and you're putting in those efforts, at some point you are going to hit the gold that you're digging for.
Hey, real quick, I want to take a time out and say thank you for paying attention. Thanks for listening to the podcast. And Ed, can I ask you a favor? Can you please share the content with other people so we can really grow this thing? This has been a passion project of mine. Really enjoying these interviews. I hope you are too. Please click the share button. It's been, you look from the market wise, it's been a rough couple of years just because of rates and the Fed and the economy and, like you said, affordability. Like you could buy the $400,000 house in 2019 even with rates are at 5.5. Now that house is $800,000 and the rates are 6.5.
Exactly.
Right, and so it makes it a little more difficult, but those results end up coming just not as frequently as they did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't stop putting in the work.
Yep, exactly.
And if anything, you end up putting in more work.
Well, I have a really cool analogy to this market. So you're a crypto guy. I'm a crypto guy. We like buying discounted assets. Now, when you grind in a bear market, when you're accumulating Bitcoin in a bear market at 15, 16, 20, 25, when you're accumulating Bitcoin in the bear market, you don't see those benefits until a bull market, right? So when you're buying, you know, and accumulating, now when Bitcoin's at 120,000, you reap the reward and you look like a genius, right? But when you're buying, everyone is not calling you a genius. When you're buying into yourself at the lows, at the toughest point in the market, you don't look like the genius that you do.
Doubling down.
When it works out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is the way that I look at this market right now. It's not easy. There's people dropping out left and right. There's people that are throwing in the towel. My listing isn't selling. I'm not getting any one of my open houses. But if you have that mindset where you're like, you know what? I'm not just doubling down. I'm tripling, quadrupling down. I'm leaving my heart and soul on the fucking court. You're going to walk away with a big bag of gold and you're going to grab more market share. Right. That's one thing about this market that a lot of people don't think about is there's more market share to be had. Because if you're doing the same 15 million you were 4 or 5 years ago, then there's a lot less transactions.
It's a bigger piece of the pie.
Exactly. And then that piece of the pie will expand. And as you continue to grow and go, you know, your business expands. But like if you asked, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of these top agents, when they were selling their career highs in 2020, 2021, maybe halfway through 2022, they were probably working their ass off in 2008, 2010, 2012. And they may not have really reached the benefit of their work until 5-10 years later, maybe.
Good point.
You know?
Yeah. So let's talk about your open houses.
Yeah.
So you go in there, they're 5-ish a week. What does the process look like for the open houses? Like, I mean, sign, setup, circle prospect. Like, what is the formula? What is the playbook that you run?
Yeah. The playbook that I run is more or less just consistency and connecting. So, like, when someone comes into my open house, I want them to feel like they are walking into a house they're buying. I want them to feel like they are gold, because the homes that I hold are truly stunning, most of them. And the way that you make people feel, they'll never forget. So if like someone comes in, you're like, hey, welcome in, make yourself at home, whatever, and you don't really care, like they're going to give you that same energy back.
Right.
So if you make people feel like they're on top of the world when they walk into that house, they're going to leave that house saying, I really like that guy. He really made me feel good.
And the feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got to really like dig deep into like the neurology, you know what I mean? Like the brain, right? Like you have to dig deep into like their mindset when they come in and when they leave. And you really want to make them feel like, hey, like I really like talking to that person. And it's not even about real estate. That's what people try and hard sell and try and set up on a search and get their information, and it's not about that. Like their information comes naturally. They'll want to give you the information if you make them.
With some of those opening like connector questions, because again, this is stuff they don't teach in school.
Yeah,
right? They don't teach
absolutely.
you like, hey, don't ask like, hey, what brought you to the house today, or like, hey, what can you afford this place? Like, where's your proof of funds? Like,
exactly.
Questions not to ask.
Yeah,
they don't even tell you that.
Yeah.
But what's some of those connecting questions that you ask?
Yeah. So, hey, did you see the sign or did you see it online? Hey, thanks for coming in. Do you live in the neighborhood? You get some talking, Great. Where are you from? And just kind of asking people about themselves and, and just educating people on, hey, are you pretty familiar with what's going on in this area? Like I love 85254 and everything that's going on there, because it's really like the next Arcadia. So my favorite is when I have someone come in from out of town and they're like, hey, I'm just looking in this area and looking all over the place. And, I'm just trying to digest everything that's going on. I'm like, I lick my lips because I know that I can educate them on why it's such a great area in a comparison to areas like Arcadia and Paradise Valley and, all these other areas. Right. So I think it's more or less just about asking like open-ended questions to figure out how you can best help them. And when you're sitting in, 3, 4, 5+ $1 million homes consistently, you have a lot of buyers that are very savvy. So they've bought 10, 15 plus homes before. So it's like, okay, what can I provide you that you can't find on your own? A lot of the times it's off-market properties, right? So I'm very direct. I shoot it straight with people, but I also have no problem asking them, like, how could I provide the most possible value to you at an open house?
There you go.
And someone will say, well, oh, I met a couple agents and this and that. I have people sending me stuff. Like you can find me stuff that's not on the market. And that's great. Well, you came to the right person's open house, because I have a whole spreadsheet of off-market deals that I think you're going to love.
Nice.
Yeah. And just kind of almost say like, you're in a lot of situations, where they say that I could provide the most value is where I'm already focusing on. So it's not even that I'm like, just whatever they say, I'm like, oh, I'm the specialist of that. Like, it's not really like that. It's more like I've already trialed and errored and met so many people and asked them so many questions that I start to, accumulate this value of what most people are looking for. You know what I mean? And I try to just stay, skate to where the puck is going, not where it's at, and trying to really find these deals before they come. Because, I'd tell people like, hey, did you see that house that sold? You didn't see it on the market, did you? Well, the reason is because most of the best deals, they never hit the market. And the way that you find them is meeting someone like me that's sitting at these open houses day in, day out, connecting with these builders and finding these deals so that you don't have to do that, right? And then they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay a realtor. But it's like, if I can save you $400,000, would you be willing to pay me $100,000? Of course I would. So you will pay a realtor,
Yes. I like how you use the logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what does the percentage matter if I'm if I'm providing 10% of value, what does the 3% matter?
There you go.
I should be charging 6%.
We're restructuring. So I'm assuming you don't have like, hey, my seller requires you to sign in. Like you're adding value before then they're saying, hey, how can I send that to you? Or they want to give you their information.
I've never used a sign-in sheet. Never.
I figured.
Once. Yeah. And it's just not something that I feel like on all my listing agreements, I put a cancellation clause at any point in time. I never have a sign-in sheet. I just feel like it all needs to flow and be natural, and it needs to feel right, or else I don't like
it's not going to be a good transaction anyways.
it's not gonna, like, I'm not like someone that like needs a deal and like itching for a deal. Like, I want to work with people that are like enjoyable and like just like are providing value as well and like serious about buying or selling. Like, I want someone that like excited to work with me and like sees the value. And it's like, you especially like cancels and expires, calling these people, like I called this guy last week. He had his, house on the market, cell phone pictures. Second time, cell phone pictures. He's like, you realtors, like, you just 3% is ridiculous. Like, homes used to be 150,000 and 150,000 or 3% now is of 600,000. I'm like, yeah, well, the dollar also, you could buy a Big Mac for 50 cents and now it costs $5. So it's all relative. You know what I mean? I'm like, it just, some people don't get it. Right.
Correct.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, they could continue to, like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? Like, you could have your home sold by a great agent that's going to charge you the standard 3%, or you can continue to hire people that are just going to take cell phone pictures and do it for a flat fee. And you can just continue to have your home not sell. It's like, that's the choice that you make, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So on top of the open houses, I just heard you calling canceling expires, but before I get off the open houses, do you do anything to market them before? I know you do videos.
Yeah. So I do videos like at the open house, but like, honestly, I believe in like the amount of it's a numbers game. Like, this whole business is a numbers game. So if you're doing a lot of open houses and you have your name on the sign, so people are seeing your name over and over again, it's just name recognition.
Yep.
And if you're in a certain neighborhood over and over and over again, there's people that are seeing your name that maybe aren't even coming to your open house, but it might be someone that came into your open house 3 months ago, 5 months ago, and they drive by your sign and they think to themselves, oh, that Brandon kid, or oh, that, whatever kid, and it's just, it's constant name recognition over and over again. It's seeing that. And it's the same thing with follow-up, right? Like, the first follow-up usually doesn't work. The second follow-up usually doesn't work. But when you just called someone 10 times and not only did you follow up with them 10 times, but in every single time you followed up with them, you provided a new ounce of value, then they're going to sit there and say, okay, maybe I should start to get serious about responding.
So mixing up the messaging when you're going back to them too.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay, cool. Follow up after you just answered. That's great. Let's talk about cancel and expires. So what does that look like?
It's pretty new to me, honestly. I just locked one down last weekend. I've had a couple that I've locked down in competitive situations, and I've lost a couple plus. And, I think
is this where you're finding your off-market opportunities?
No.
Because you're grabbing those before?
No, a lot of my off-market opportunities come from like development, like new construction.
Okay.
And connecting with like builders as they're building, like connecting with builders that are building in volume. So someone that's building 5 homes, 8 homes, 10 homes, and connecting with like 3 or 4 people that fall in that category, and then putting together just a whole spreadsheet of all these deals and just sending them out to the buyers and saying like, hey, these are, and giving limited information.
Right. Like,
hey, here's the square footage, here's the specs, here's the, whatever it is, like a design book, and then they reach out to you and they're like, hey, I'm interested in this one. Can you get me more info? Great. Absolutely. Go see it. And hopefully they end up buying it. But it's not as much as closing that deal that you send them, is gaining that credibility and interest and connection from them, showing that you're working, you're out there connecting, and you're going to provide value. Because a lot of times you end up selling them a deal that's on the market. But how you gain their interest and how you gain their connection is going out and doing things that they can't find on their own.
Yeah. Okay. How much, I know you said it was relatively new, but how many hours a day or week are you spending calling those lists?
Yeah. So really like the last like 3 to 4 months has been like, I call it minimum 100 people a day. And I've really worked on perfecting my appointment setting. I think it's the trouble that I've had is like when you're going in like really competitive situations, like when you're going against like 6, 7 agents that have been doing it 20 plus years, I think it's I think the most challenging thing for me to wrap my head around is like the perception of the buyer or the seller that you're being interviewed by. Because when someone hears that you're, they meet with someone, they've been doing it 20, 30, whatever years, and then they meet with you, and like I've been doing it 6 years, like they automatically think like I'm not as good because I haven't been. So you already have an overcoming factor. So what I found is the best thing that you can possibly do is just attack that right away. Hey, I know that you're going to meet with agents that are more experienced than me, but I can tell you right now, there's nobody that will outwork me. And just setting that expectation up front, you're going to have people that sold more homes than me. Like I'm 30 years old, but you're going to have people that are 45, 50 years old that have been in the business a long time. But if you attack that right on, they almost respect you for it. And they know that that's an expectation that you're setting is like, look, these are the hours that I'm going to put in. And this is the guarantee that I'm giving you is a cancellation at any point in time. If you feel that I'm not putting in the hours and the work that I promised to put in, please fire me because I don't deserve this job, And I think that it's just all about, this whole business is all about setting expectations, and the better you can do with that, the further you go.
Yeah. Well, and I like overcoming the objection before it's an objection. You already know you're going to get it.
100%.
Right? You already look young as it is. So even in 5 years, you're still going to look kind of young. So 100%. I'm still going to have to get over that with them up front.
Exactly.
Hey, let's get the elephant in the room here.
Yeah.
Right. But you still have some great stats with your sales and number of units and experience, plus you leverage the team.
Exactly.
How many millions in units that has brought you as well, the exposure. So there's a lot there for you to get around.
There's a lot there, and I've had great sales. Like I've sold just above 80 million. My average sales $1 million. But I try not to really like leverage my stats as much because I try to go back to like how I've created these stats. And when I created these stats, there was no credibility. So I always try to have that mindset that like you need to have the mindset that you have no stats. And if you go back to what created that and then you have credibility, it helps. But, it's really going back to the basics in a lot of situations.
Well, imagine if it's every day you just start at zero.
100%.
Right? Like when Kobe gets on the court, he's like, I have no stats right now.
Exactly.
Right? What's in the past is the past. It's how I show up today for this game.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think's next? You got the open houses, you got cancel expires. Is there any other part of your business?
I think I really need to do better at gaining leverage. Like a lot of the other top agents that I know have strong pieces of leverage in their business.
Like what?
VAs and, being consistent with like farming. Like I've done some farming, and just like having like employees or like people underneath you, and just like not being afraid to like pay for something that will ultimately raise your production and will raise your bottom line. Like, if you're paying whatever, like it's an investment, right? And like one thing probably sound crazy to a lot of other top agents, but like I invest $0 back into my business. Like I don't, because my team, they provide leads, they provide open houses. I have a competitive split.
But that is your investment back into the business, right? My split is the investment. So you're hiring 2 great mentors.
Exactly.
Right? Plus all the tech that they have, plus all their experience. So that's your investment back.
Essentially, yeah. So that's the way I look at it, as like a lot of agents are solo agents and, they don't have a cap or whatever, it's split. And like, that's the way I look at it. But I still think even with that split, I think I can add on to my leverage and my investment in myself and business. For sure. So that's something I think I could.
Have you ever written out? So there's a guy, Dan Martelli, and he talks about this in his book. He's like, you write out the things that you do during the day, and what are those things that you could offload to somebody else? Yeah. And would that open you up to do more dollar productive activity?
Exactly.
Because if I kept you more on the phones or in appointments, and really in appointments. So the VAs might be great at setting appointments for you. You just show up to the appointments and kill the appointment.
Exactly.
They're making 100 calls, 200 calls, 300 calls, triple line dialer, right? Slamming you appointments, and all you do is show up.
Exactly.
And close.
Yeah.
And if you're closing at, 80% close ratio, you just need the appointment.
100%.
So like something like that but that exercise of just going through your brain at the end of the day and going, all right, let's just write out what I did today. Like what did I do? What had to be me? Like this has to be you. The point of sale has to be you. The negotiating of a contract has to be you, but the showing and opening up of a door doesn't have to be you.
No.
Right? Like, so what was it that is absolutely yours? And then what could I offload? And then who would be the ideal person to hire for that?
Yeah.
Is it virtual or is it live? Is it an admin? Is it whatever?
Yeah.
And then figure out, all right, does that make sense dollar wise? Because if that opened up 2 hours a day for you to do more appointments live, green time, that would be worth it. You'd make way more than what you're going to pay there.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's a good point. And I know that a lot of my buddies like at EXP, like they are really good with leverage. And that's one thing that like I feel like they've really mastered is like the art of leverage and the art of like buying back your time. And it's just,
that was the title of his book, Buy Back Your Time.
It's funny. Yeah. I've actually heard of that book, I think. But yeah, I think that that's something I can improve in, just like sharpening my blade and like being more polished, where like I still feel like I'm pretty raw. Like I feel like I have like raw talent and work ethic. Whereas like I feel like if I could channel it better and like if I took
That's a nasty combination.
It's a nasty combination. I feel like I haven't like, you know, every year I've like gone up in sales and I've done more volume, but like now I'm starting to like, you know, like 2 years ago, it was
there's a cap.
It was a cap, right? It's like 15.5, and it was like 16.5, and then it was 16.7, and now it's like, okay, this thing is kind of getting around this crazy parabolic, you know, like growth curve that I had is kind of rounding out, where I'm like, okay, at some point I'm gonna need to figure out how I can, you know, maybe there's gonna be a dip, but like how can I buy back into that dip before this thing really, you know?
Well, and really the only dip should be, and it should be minimal, and you can ask the people that have done it, is when you hire people on, it's the training process. Yeah. So like when I have to seek out the person and then train them on my systems and process, that kind of stuff, like there's a little bit, but if you build out the processes as you're figuring out this position, meaning let's say it was the dials that you wanted, you want the VA. Well, you record yourself making the calls so you know your scripts, and then you can transcribe them all. And now I have my script. So when I go hire the VA, I say, hey, say these.
Exactly.
Do these. Great. Or you call the Aries of the world that are already using VAs for certain things. You say, hey, do you have somebody for this? Or, you know, you call my friend Kevin. He's got the Sphere Rocket.
Yeah.
And they've got like, I want to say it's like 1,800, but it might be 18,000 VAs. Like that do, like there's a page menu that's got 8 columns of all the stuff that they all do.
Wow.
And you just pick, so manage my social media, manage my email, like just stuff. And you're like, wow. So you leverage the connections that you already have to say, hey man, how did you do it? What would you do? What would you do different? How would you speed this? So the dip is minimal, right? But then it takes you to the next level because you just freed out and you bought back more of your time.
Exactly.
Yeah. What the one thing I haven't asked, because you have this, is your database. What do you do with your past clients? Are you farming them? Are you prospecting them, retargeting them, calling them, events? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I that's something that I can improve on too, because like when I first got in the business, just having sold someone a house that went up 40, 60, 80% was enough. People call you, hey, you know, how you doing, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you, right? But as the market starts to soften, you know, you have to do extra things as an agent because, you know, you're not having. So, I mean, a lot of my clients that I worked with, I'm still good friends with and we talk all the time. But there's also people that, you know, I was thinking about it to myself today. I'm like, how can I, like Halloween, for instance, like last Halloween, I went and dropped off like these big, really awesome candy bars. And I was like, you know, remember when you were a kid and like you had the neighbor that gave you the big candy bars and you're like, that neighbor's awesome. Like now you're the awesome neighbor, you know?
Nice.
So, but it wasn't like every single client I did that for. It was like, you know, the clients that had bought in the last couple of years and that price was X amount and above. And, you know, I really want to keep those people close. But at the same point, like I really need to like add something in. Like I looked the other day and my buddy Hector, he's with EXP too. He had like a raffle and it was like all of his clients. And then he picked out like a $250 gift card at Walmart. And it was like, you know, it got people engaged and it reminded people of him. And, you know, he dished out a couple $100, whatever. Yeah. But it could lead and it will.
We did a flat iron grill to our entire database.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just to get in front of. But you need to put in a plan. Right, that you're going to do some sort of a mailer because you have their mailing addresses. hopefully none of them gets kicked back, that you have a calling plan.
Yeah.
And maybe it's you calling them on their birthday, you're calling them a couple times a year. Maybe it's with an equity update. Hey, man, it's been 3 years since you closed your house. I was just looking. It's up 50K. It's up 100K. It's up this. Wow. Hey, do you need anything?
Yeah.
I have a lot of contacts. You need, hey, we're coming up monsoon season. You need me to send over my tree guy?
Yeah.
Like, you just need to be like, you're great at adding value. It's just you got to get back in front of them to be of value again.
Exactly.
And ask them, like, because you would think, like, would that guy call me if they needed a tree trimmer? No, dude. They're going to Google. They're going to ask their neighbor. They're going to see a truck down the street.
Yeah.
You want them to call you.
100%.
So if you keep calling them and telling them, hey, just don't forget, like, I know, like, I have a big team. You know, I have a lot of people between me and my entire team. We have all the subs. You need a drywall guy. You need a masonry guy. You need a landscape guy. You need a housekeeper. You need a roofer, whatever.
Exactly.
But I think if you did that, that would help. And then obviously client events. I know Josh does those quite a bit, but for you, like movie event, barbecue in the park, or when they do the food trucks over at Salt River Fields, you just tag along with it. Say, hey, I'm buying tickets for whoever can come.
Yeah.
And you send it to the database, and maybe a third of them reply.
Yeah.
Like, great, I'll meet you out front, or hey, swing by my office. It's right here.
Yeah.
And they come by your office, you hand them all their tickets, and you go, right, I'll see you guys out there.
Yeah.
And then you go see some people at some trucks or whatever, and then you check in with them the next week. Hey, did you guys have fun? That's awesome. I'm just top of mind.
Yeah.
But they say 15% of your database will move every year. So if you have 100 people, that means 15 are moving.
Yeah.
And if your average price point's $1 million, that's 15 million.
Yeah.
That I'm leaving on the table.
Yeah. It's a good point, Greg. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, it's funny that you say that because I was actually, like looking at like different ways of generating business and thinking to myself like, like I will go back and I'll look at like all the homes I've sold and I'll like send them text messages and like say, how you doing? But it doesn't come across the same as like adding immediate value.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I'm offering you something,
Yeah.
Because
and
people
offering you.
Yeah.
Like your market knowledge. Hey, do you want to know some insights of your neighborhood?
Yep.
Hey, I was just looking, and you can do AI insights nowadays, right? But you can do a Cromford report for 85254. Say, hey, I pulled up some stats for 85254. I'm going to text them over to you.
Yep.
Just so you have some stuff that's going on in the market. Hey, how's everything going with the fam?
Yep.
How you been? Did you get away this summer? Like, whatever. You just need to stay in relationship with them.
Absolutely.
But those, like, you're key at that. But, the number one neglected client of every industry, Nordstrom's, Walmart, mortgage, real estate, is the past client. Because they're a past client.
Yep.
And even though some of them are your boys, some of them still call me or whatever, there's still plenty that aren't.
Yep.
That I need to stay in front of. And they're the ones that have already trusted you enough to have you do their transaction.
Exactly.
And they're going to do something at some point in time. They're going to sell that one and go get another one, downsize or upsize. But along the way, maybe they want to pick up an investment property. Yeah. Maybe they want an off market. Maybe they want to do a flip. Maybe they're looking for something.
Yeah.
Maybe their buddy is doing a flip of some sort. And like, oh, wait, maybe I should call Brandon and ask if that's a smart idea rather than go to that guy and use that agent that's doing that flip with their buddy. So these little things come up where I'm like, you just got to stay top of mind.
100%.
We all need to, but if you did open houses, cancels expired database, like I would just go there.
Yeah. And
then the admin person that could be the one that you hire would help you with all of those. Managing the list, manage your appointment, watching the emails, just doing the, again, admin, red time, non-dollar productive stuff.
Yeah.
So you get more green time to be calling the past clients, checking in with them, do an equity review, call them on their house anniversary, call them on their birthdays.
Yeah, that's a major, major value that I'm not squeezing the lemon enough on.
That's and it's a layup.
Yeah, it's a layup.
Right?
It's easy money, yeah. Not even that it's about the money, it's more about like representing people well.
Yeah.
But like
I always say, if we don't stay in front of them after the sale, it's a transaction, not a relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I wanted to be your lender for life, yet I didn't call you a year later to say, hey, how's the house?
Yeah.
How'd the move go?
Yeah.
Like 2 months later, how many boxes you got left?
Yeah.
You need a handyman to come over? Did you ding up any walls? Need someone to come and hang up the paintings and mirrors and stuff?
Yep.
I'll send my guy over. He'll give you a discount.
Exactly.
Dude, how many people would love that?
Yep, absolutely.
And then you're just more memorable.
Absolutely.
Well, dude, this has been fun, bro. Yeah. I really enjoyed myself.
Thanks
the time
for having
just
me.
Flies.
Me too, man. It's been great.
We'll definitely have you back, and I want to hear the story about how you're killing it with your past client database.
Yeah, and that's the next move to make is the past clients and the leverage.
Yes.
Yep.
That's going to be huge too.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks for coming,
bro. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yep, my pleasure.
Congrats for making it to the end. You're part of the 1%ers that actually finish podcast. Now I'm just going to ask a favor. Who else would you like to see on here? What other content would you like to see? What kind of questions you want me to be asking? What would you like to see in future podcast episodes? Drop a comment down below or shoot me a message on whatever platform you're seeing this on.